Солнышко нигде.
Oleksandr Usyk is back in the gym preparing for his big rematch against Daniel Dubois. Oleksandr Usyk is staying relaxed as he gets ready for his rematch with Daniel Dubois. Instead of intense training all the time, he keeps the mood light in his camp. He's often seen smiling, joking with his team, and even dancing during workouts. Usyk believes that staying calm and happy helps him perform better. While he still trains every day, he doesn't let pressure take over. His smooth, confident attitude shows that he trusts his skills and experience going into the fight. Usyk's relaxed approach doesn't mean he isn't focused. He knows exactly what he needs to do in the ring and prepares with purpose. His training sessions are sharp and smart, not rushed or forced. By keeping the mood light, he saves his energy and avoids stress. His team supports this style, knowing that Usyk performs best when he feels free and confident. As the rematch with Dubois gets closer, Usyk continues to mix serious work with fun, showing that staying calm can be just as powerful as training hard. However, Frock said the first fight was held in Germany, and since then, Daniel Dubois has improved a lot, especially with his big win over Anthony Joshua. Frock believes Dubois now has a better chance and could even shock the world. At 38, Frock shared his own experience of retiring close to that age, recalling his memorable fight against Groves at Wembley and later entering the Boxing Hall of Fame. He also explained how difficult it is to make weight, but emphasized doing it the right way, eating properly and preparing top champions such as Roy Jones and Floyd Mayweather to be fully ready for the fight.
Daniel Dubois, Oleksandr Usyk, undisputed. It's been confirmed now for July 19th at Wembley Stadium. Can Dubois shock the world? Can he do what he couldn't do last time? You know, he gave it a good go when they fought in, what was it, Germany, the first match, wasn't it? And he'll come on leaps and bounds since then, as we saw against Anthony Joshua. So you've got to give him a chance, better chance than last time.
Can he shock the world in a word? Yes, he can, because Usyk's 30, is he 38?
38, I think, yeah.
So, I've been 38, 9 years ago, but I know how it feels. I retired at 36, I was nearly 37. I was a month away from my 37th birthday when I chinned Groves at Wembley in front of 80,000 fans and went on to become an International Boxing Hall of Famer. You know, that was 11 years ago. And it was hard for me, and I did the weight easy, really. I say easy because I'm not lying around in spacesuits trying to take weight off. I'm actually eating all week, and I'm doing it properly, professionally, like most of all the Hall of Famers, world champs. They do it correct. Roy Jones, Floyd Mayweather. They don't struggle at weight. They get down to the weight. They do it properly. They get in the ring. On point.
Frock believes that although Oleksandr Usyk is 38 years old and doesn't have to worry about making weight because he fights at heavyweight, his age still affects him. Frock says Usyk's mind, reflexes, joints, and bones are slowing down. He points out that fights like those with Tyson Fury, who had many amateur fights, have taken a toll on Usyk. On the other hand, Daniel Dubois is younger and fresher. Their first fight was close, with Dubois unsure of himself, but since then, Dubois has beaten Anthony Joshua and looked strong in other fights. Frock says Dubois is now a different and more confident fighter. While Usyk is still the favorite, Frock thinks this is an exciting fight that Dubois can definitely win. He even suggested that Usyk should consider retiring after beating Tyson Fury, saying he has already done enough.
I just think that Usyk, at 38 years old, although he's not got the issue with weight because it's heavyweight, you can weigh what you want.
True.
He's still got a mind that's slowing down. They've still got reflexes that are diminishing. They've still got old joints and old bones.
Yeah,
He's got
Tyson Fury fights.
Hundreds of fights in the amateurs.
Yeah, taking it out of him.
And Dubois young and fresh. And they had the first fight was quite close when Dubois was unsure of himself.
Yeah.
And Dubois gone and flattened AJ. Had a couple of fights with Gerald Miller. He's looked good against Hrgovic. You've got to say that Dubois now is a different machine.
Self-confidence will be...
And time waits for no man, as the saying goes. I just think that this is a fight it's exciting. It's a good fight. You've got to make Usyk the favourite, but it's a fight that Daniel Dubois can definitely win. Yeah. I don't think Usyk should keep fighting. I said, remember last fight with Tyson. I said once you beat Tyson, retire. That's it. You're done. You made.
So what are you saying, 60-40 in favour of Usyk?
On the other hand, Don Charles spoke about the long journey he and Daniel Dubois have shared, emphasizing the hard work and growth over the past 2 years. He explained that their partnership began with a 14-month training camp leading into the first Usyk fight, and since then, Dubois has matured into a world-class fighter. Charles pointed to Dubois' recent achievements, including becoming a world champion and defeating high-level opponents as proof of his progress. He described their journey as something guided by a higher power, saying he believes everything is unfolding according to a divine plan. Charles also took aim at Oleksandr Usyk, questioning the sincerity of his religious beliefs. He suggested that if Usyk truly follows God, then making false claims in God's name would be a serious offense, hinting at a deeper moral issue ahead of the rematch.
Well, we've been together now for 24 months. We did that first fight was 14 months camp, and new fighter, new trainer relationship. Now, 24 months later, can you imagine? And you've seen what he's done in between that time, from the Usyk fight to now, what he's gone and done, and become a world champion. And the personnel he has beaten on the way, that suggests to how far he's come. And we're going to top it up by, this is all meant to be, this has all been written by God. The God that I worship. I question Usyk about his religious beliefs, because if you're a godly person like he prides himself on, how can you lie behind in the name of God? That's a sin, a big sin.
In the middle of serious fight preparations, Oleksandr Usyk has kept things lighthearted with his trademark sense of humor. One moment that stood out during camp was his funny dance routine, which quickly went viral. Surrounded by his team, Usyk broke into a playful dance, smiling and laughing as music played in the background. It was a reminder of how relaxed and confident he feels ahead of the rematch. For Usyk, keeping the mood fun isn't a distraction, it's part of his mindset. His ability to balance focus with joy has become one of his most unique qualities as a champion. One of Oleksandr Usyk's biggest advantages in the ring is his speed. Even in heavyweight fights where power often dominates, Usyk stands out with his quick footwork and fast hands. In training camp, he's been sharpening these skills, moving with ease and throwing combinations that are hard to see, let alone block. His ability to slip punches and respond in a split second makes him a tough challenge for any opponent. Usyk's speed doesn't just help him land shots, it also helps him control the pace and distance of the fight. It's a key part of what makes him so dangerous, even against bigger and stronger fighters. Moreover, Tony Bellew shared a balanced view on Daniel Dubois ahead of the rematch with Oleksandr Usyk, noting Dubois is no longer the same fighter from their first fight. He said Dubois has grown more mature and understands what it takes to win at the top level. Bellew admitted Dubois gave up in the first fight, but believes he can now handle tough moments. He highlighted the win over Anthony Joshua as a key confidence boost. Bellew sees Dubois as a serious threat, but thinks Usyk's skill and accuracy will wear him down. In the end, Bellew expects Usyk to win.
He knows himself now though, Jim. Yeah. So he knows how hard it is, how tough it is. I believe the first fight with him that he'd had enough. He'd had enough and he quit. So it is what it is. You can make as much of that or as little of it as you want. I think Daniel Dubois is now coming to a different stage in his career, where he's understanding now of what needs to be done and what's at stake. I think he's shown that he can overcome difficult times in fights now. And I think the victory over Anthony Joshua is going to propel his confidence levels to an all-time high. So I think he's well in this fight. I think he's a super dangerous challenger. And he'll go into it with a lot of belief. but I believe that belief will get shrunk as the rounds pass and as the shots start getting landed on him. The questions will be asked of him again. Oleksandr Usyk will be victorious.
Furthermore, Tony Bellew described Oleksandr Usyk as an extraordinary talent and a genius in boxing, operating on a completely different level. He called Usyk the kind of exceptional fighter the sport needs, and said it's hard to put into words just how good he is. While Bellew knows all great champions eventually face defeat, he doesn't believe Daniel Dubois is the one to end Usyk's run. He expects Usyk to win again, likely by a late stoppage or possibly on points. Bellew noted that Usyk has already overcome huge challenges like Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, and he sees him doing the same to Dubois. Though he praised Dubois' power, growth, and mental strength, Bellew said Dubois hasn't yet shown he can beat someone like Usyk over 12 rounds or stop the Ukrainian champion.
This guy's an anomaly, he's a freak, he's the genius that boxing needs. This guy is, I can't put it into words how good he is at what he does, Jim, but ultimately, all good things have to come to an end. Eventually, yes, but I just don't think Daniel Dubois is the man to bring it to an end.
So you go Usyk again?
I'm going Usyk again, and I think by late stoppage, if not points.
Stoppage?
I think he can stop him. Yeah, I just think he figures it out. It's what his mindset and the frequency he's on is a different level to everybody else. It's like this guy's gone up against a 6'9" monster in Tyson Fury and figured him out. Yeah. This guy's gone up against one of the biggest punchers in boxing in Anthony Joshua and figured him out twice. He's already beaten Daniel Dubois. Daniel Dubois is a big, strong guy. Immense power. I give him all the credit in the world, and he's overcome many demons, but he hasn't shown us yet that he can get this job done over 12 rounds, and I just don't see him stopping Oleksandr Usyk.
Simon Jordan said he believes it's Daniel Dubois' time and stressed that his opinion is fair and without favoritism. He called Dubois a ferocious beast and said he deserves all the praise he's getting. Jordan admired how Dubois walked into Wembley Stadium like a true gladiator. He's pleased to see Dubois growing both as a fighter and as a person, becoming more confident and handling the media better. Looking ahead to the fight on July 19th, Jordan said he expects a brilliant event. He also believes Dubois must win inside the distance because winning on points is unlikely.
I said it to Oleksandr Usyk, and there's no favoritism here. I think it's Daniel Dubois' time. I think he's a ferocious
I have to agree with
beast. Yeah, absolutely. and I think he deserves all the plaudits. I think what walked into Wembley Stadium was an absolute gladiator, and I'm thrilled for him that he's coming out of himself, growing as a man, becoming more worldly and able to communicate with the media, and I think it's going to be a fabulous fight.
Do you believe that he can get it done inside the distance?
I think he has to get it done inside the distance.
Yeah. You don't think he can win on points?
I think it's unlikely.
Yeah.
I think it's unlikely. But whatever, July 19th, brilliant fight.
However, Duke McKenzie believes that if Daniel Dubois and Oleksandr Usyk face each other again, Dubois will lose once more. He thinks Usyk would outbox Dubois again, and even suggests there's a real chance Dubois could be stopped. McKenzie sees Usyk as being on a completely different level, comparing him to the Premier League, while others, including Dubois, are still in the first division. Although he respects and likes Dubois and acknowledges his improvement, McKenzie doesn't believe Dubois has what it takes to beat Usyk. Still, he is confident that Dubois can defeat everyone else in the heavyweight division.
Just tell me, head on the block now, does Dubois do it second time against Usyk? He gets outboxed, yeah?
He gets outboxed again.
Does he get stopped?
Quite potentially, sure. Nobody's beaten Oleksandr Usyk. You know, I don't want to make it sound too cliche, but for me, where heavyweight boxing is concerned, he's head and shoulders. He's Premier League and everybody else's first division. As much as I like Dubois, and Dubois is improving all the time, still not got what it takes in my eyes to beat Usyk.
And finally,
beats everyone else, sir.
Yeah, he does.
Teddy Atlas expressed his respect for Daniel Dubois, not only as a fighter, but also for the person he has become. He acknowledged that Dubois faced tough challenges, especially in his losses to Joe Joyce and Oleksandr Usyk. While physical setbacks like the eye injury against Joyce and the controversial body shot against Usyk affected those fights, Atlas emphasized that what truly matters in boxing is the ability to overcome obstacles. For him, boxing is about rising above adversity, not just following rules or landing punches. He believes Dubois is now demonstrating this strength and growing into a real champion.
I also have a lot of respect for Dubois, for the man he is and what he's become. That he fell apart in 2 fights. Yeah, different things happen. I get it, but physical things happen in the fight with Joyce, and then in the fight with Usyk, where Usyk, some people think that it should have been a punch to the body, it shouldn't have been a breakage and a stoppage, and that it changed the fight. The bottom line was, at the end of the day, in both Joyce, it's about overcoming. Boxing and fighting is about overcoming. Yeah, it's look up the definition in Webster's of boxing, fighting. I don't know what you're going to find exactly. Marcus of Queensberry rules, putting gloves on, pugilism. For me, the definition of fighting is overcoming. That's it. Overcoming. To be a champion, somewhere along the line, you got to find a way to overcome. And Dubois found that.
Teddy Atlas admitted he felt Daniel Dubois gave in during both the Joyce and Usyk fights, not just physically, but more so mentally and emotionally. However, he praised Dubois for coming back strong and redeeming himself. Atlas said Dubois fought 3 tough comeback fights and believed Dubois would have taken at least the first 2 even without pay, because it wasn't about the money. It was about proving something to himself, discovering who he really was and what kind of man he could be. For Dubois, it was about living with pride, not shame, and being able to face the world while feeling proud of the person he sees in the mirror every day.
Yeah, he gave in. I thought he gave in. He broke down. Mentally, emotionally, whatever you want to call it. Physically. But I think more mentally in both the Joyce fight and the Usyk fight. But he came back. He redeemed himself. And he did what you said. He fought those 3 tough fights. And those fights, I think he would have fought them for free. At least the first 2. Because it was about redeeming himself. It wasn't about getting paid. It was about finding out who he was. Finding out what kind of man he was. It was really about living the rest of his life with pride. Instead of the opposite, with some shame. It was really about being able to get up every day and go outside and feel good about who walks outside on the road and what people are going to see. It was really about looking in the mirror and liking what was looking back at him.
Chris Eubank Jr. said he believes Daniel Dubois is on a strong run right now, especially after his big win over Anthony Joshua. He also pointed out that Oleksandr Usyk is full of confidence and momentum. In Eubank's view, the upcoming fight will come down to who wants it more and who can stay mentally tough under pressure.
I think Daniel Dubois, he's on a roll. He's coming off of a massive win against AJ. Usyk's also on a massive roll, so I think that fight's going to come down to mindset.
Carl Frampton called the upcoming fight a really good matchup and recognized that Daniel Dubois is now a better and more dangerous fighter than in their first meeting. He said Dubois showed some strong moments in the first fight and was disappointed with how it ended. Frampton believes Dubois definitely has a chance to win this time. However, having backed Usyk in the past, especially in his fights against Tyson Fury, Frampton has learned not to underestimate him. He described Usyk as a genius who doesn't need a fixed game plan because he figures out his opponents as the fight goes on. Despite Dubois' improvement, Frampton still expects Usyk to come out on top.
Really, really good fight. Dubois is a better fighter now than he was in the first fight, and he looked okay for periods in the first fight. Disappointed with how it ended as well, but Crawford, flip me, talking with the wrong fighters again. Yeah. Dubois is certainly a much more dangerous fighter than he was, so he does have a chance to win the fight. But in saying that, I've backed against Usyk a couple of times, and specifically the Fury fights. I don't think I'm ever going to back against him again. I think the guy's a genius and he just finds a way. I don't even think he was in the fights with a game plan. He figures people out as the fight goes on. And yeah, Daniel has a better chance, but don't back against Usyk. I think Usyk wins the fight.
That's it for today's video. So what are your thoughts on this? Will Usyk be able to knock out Daniel again? Let me know in the comments section, and make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the video. Also, check out our other videos on the screen right now.